Can you give us an idea of where this investigation is up to?
Yes, as people will know, this is an investigation that is being conducted by counter-terrorism policing, assisted by Greater Manchester Police. It will not surprise people that we have put every available resource into making sure that we understand precisely what has happened. Urgent and ongoing inquiries are being made. Arrests have been made. There is a limit to what I can say at this juncture in terms of the dynamics of that investigation. Suffice to say that we know that there are answers that people require, and those answers will be forthcoming as soon as it is appropriate to give them. But I do want to reassure people that no stone is being left unturned. We will get to the bottom of what has happened, and as those facts emerge into the public domain, we'll be sure, of course, to communicate those in a way that I hope addresses people's needs, requirements, and interest in this most horrific of attacks.
Is there anything you can say about trying to track down the father of the attacker?
So no, I don't really want to go into that in the detail that people might perhaps want. I think that is part and parcel of the ongoing investigation, and that perhaps is left unsaid at this juncture.
Okay. In terms of, I know you had a very high-profile policing presence over the weekend. Could you give us an idea of how you characterise the mood in the Jewish community at the moment?
So, of course, our Jewish community on Yom Kippur, the holiest of holy days, suffered a grievous attack, yet another anti-Semitic terrorist atrocity. The murder of Jews on the streets of Manchester is something that is an attack on us all, and it is hardly surprising that our community are reeling. They, of course, as do we, mourn the deaths of Melvin Kravitz and Adrian Dalby. And of course our thoughts and prayers are with them, their families, and of course all of those who were seriously injured. So it is the case, of course, that we understand, particularly as we move now into the 7 days of Sukkot, following Yom Kippur, that this is a community that are both on the one hand seeking to observe their right to live their Jewish lives, and on the other hand are really fearful of what has happened, are really upset by what has happened, and candidly are frightened as to the future.
And in terms of what you're trying to do about that, can you give us an idea of the level of extra patrols that you've got on and how long that's likely to last?
We've very significantly increased both our visible and covert presence across the city region, particularly with a focus on our Jewish communities. They are now on the ground, highly visible and highly interventionist. It is absolutely the case that we want to reassure, we want to defend, and we want to make sure that wherever anything might occur or might be worried about, that we're in a great position to respond. That is our stance, that is the footprint that we now have in place and will sustain for the foreseeable future. It has to be said that if you just take this last week alone, over 4,000 visits to places of worship across our city region just gives you some indication of the scale, the visibility, the presence of our people, whilst simultaneously giving space to a very fulsome and very detailed investigation.
How long is it possible to keep that level of frontline policing up for, though? Clearly you have limited resources as a force.
Of course, we do have limited resources, but there is a time and a place when one has to prioritise. This is at the moment, of course, an extant priority. That is why we are sustaining this footprint. It will not, of course, be forever, but we will make, in conjunction with the community, in conjunction with our partners, the Community Safety Trust, who are a very professional group of people who serve the Jewish community so very well and work very closely in conjunction with GMP, we will make these determinations going forward. The bottom line is we're here to reassure, we are here to keep our Jewish communities and all communities safe.
You can understand why people are fearful, though, at the moment.
I can absolutely understand why people are fearful, and this, again, a horrific attack, an anti-Semitic attack, where individuals have been seriously hurt and murdered purely because they're Jewish. That is simply unacceptable, can never be accepted in any part of our country and beyond.
You talked about overt and covert. What does that mean?
As the name implies, overt is the very physical presence that you see in and about. We have a very high number of people patrolling the streets, being stood near to places of worship and other key spots. We also have other presence which is unseen. It doesn't mean it's not there, but there are reasons why on occasion we will flex our resources in different ways. It is just to make sure that where a threat presents itself, we are best placed to respond effectively, relentlessly, and to make sure that our communities are kept safe.